Hello, computers class, and welcome to week 4 of e-learning. This week is a special week because it is a shortened week due to Easter. So we are just going to have one assignment due this week in computers, and you need to have it done by Thursday, April 9th. So you should have more than enough time to get finished with lesson 3.6, which in lesson 3.6, you will be creating a line chart. And here's the overview for you. Every 5 years, McKinley High School updates its athletic complex. One major update will be to increase seating in the gymnasium and the stadium fields. To help determine how many additional seats will be added this year, the athletic director asks you to create a line chart that shows the attendance growth for baseball, football, basketball, and soccer. Since you are familiar with using Google Drive, you decide to use Google Sheets. Fantastic. Some new skills you're going to learn in this lesson are you're going to learn to how to format number, create a line chart, insert an image, and resize an image. So let's get right into this. I've got my sheets up and open. I have a blank sheet here. And it says to name the new spreadsheet lesson 3.6. Who would have thought? Okay, lesson 3.6, your name. And then we get to enter the data as it's shown here in this table in number 2. So let's do that real quick. Okie dokie, now that I have all of my data entered exactly how it's shown in this table in number 2, I am ready to move on to number 3. And make sure that you are leaving row 2 blank. Some of you in our past lessons aren't entering the data exactly as it's shown here, so just make sure you double check that and make sure you have exactly the data as it's shown in this table number 2. All right, number 3. Merge cells A1 through F1, A1 through F1. I'm going to merge those. Okay. And then we're going to center align, bold, and change the font size to 14 instead of 10. Okay, perfect. Knock number 3 out. Now we're ready for number 4. Number 4 says bold and right align row 3. Okay, so I'm just going to select all of row 3, bold, and then we are going to right align all of that data. All right, number 5, bold cells A4 through A7. A4 through A7, bold. Easy peasy. Moving right along. Number 6, we are going to format number. And to format numbers with a comma and decimal places, which you guys have done, but we're going to select B4 through F7. Then from the format menu, select number, then select number. Okay. So B4 through F7. Okay, and then I'm going to make my screen bigger so you can see where to go here. I'm sure all of you already know, but we're going to go to format, number, and then number. Perfect. Okay. Number 7. To round to whole numbers, decrease the decimal place of cells B4 through F7 to 0 decimal places. Okay, we've done this before, but just to refresh your memory, make sure that you have B4 through F7 selected. And then up here in our toolbar, we are going to decrease the decimal places until we don't see any more decimals in our data table. Okay, perfect. Number 8. Here comes the fun part. We're going to create a line chart. And to create a line chart to show trends over time, do the following. Okay, again, this is for an outdated version of Google Sheets. So I'm going to show you how we are going to do that. So what you have to make sure you have first is A3 through F7 selected. Okay, before we just had B4 through F7 selected, but you'll actually need A3 starting here in this blank cell all the way through F7 selected. Once you have that selected, we're going to go to Insert. Then we're going to go to Chart. And there's a lovely chart that is a line chart. So it automatically inserted the chart that we wanted, which is awesome. But there's a couple things we need to do. And one of the things your instructions ask you to do is click the Switch Rows Columns checkbox. And in this version of Google Sheets, it automatically selects that checkbox for us. So we don't really need to do that since it's already selected. But one thing I do recommend is making sure, just double checking that yours has a checkbox in it, because they don't all have the checkbox. Okay, and then it also wanted us to go to the line chart thumbnail, which that would be this, and this is the type of line chart that we need, so we're not going to mess with that either. Okay, so we are finished with letter B and moving on to letter C. So from the Customization tab, copy and paste the text in cell A1 to the chart title field. So we need to be in our Customize tab in our chart editor, and then we're going to go to Chart and Axis Titles. Okay, first we need to select cell A1, right click, copy, and I'm going to actually show you just real quick the easiest way to do this. Some of you may not prefer to do this, but I'm going to show you two ways to enter a chart title. One, you can double click in the chart title on your chart, backspace, right click, paste, easy peasy. But if you want to make things a little bit more complicated, I'm going to undo what I just did. And we are going to select our chart double click on it so our chart editor shows up. We're going to go to Customize, Chart and Axis Titles. Make sure that in this drop down box your chart title is selected. And then down here, we're going to double click on this to select all the text, backspace, right click, paste. Okay, and it should say McKinley High School event attendance. Perfect. All right, moving along. D wants us to delete the horizontal axis title. So over here in our chart editor, we are going to click this drop down arrow here and select horizontal axis title. And currently in our chart, we do not even have a horizontal axis title. So we do not need to worry about that. How great. So in this version, in your instructions of Google Sheets, they must have automatically defaulted a horizontal axis title, but the version we're working with did not do that, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so moving on to letter E. If there were a horizontal axis title, though, or if you wanted one, you would go to your chart and axis titles and then type a title here, like if we wanted it to say baseball, it would show up right here. But we don't want one, so I'm going to backspace. I just thought I'd show you how to do it just in case you ever need to do this. Okay. Letter E. To add a title to the y-axis, from the axis drop-down menu, select left vertical. So this is going to be a little bit different, how we're going to do this in our version of Google Sheets. So how we do that is select the drop-down arrow, click vertical axis title, and our instructions want us to change the Access title to number of attendees. So right where it says title text, type in number of attendees. So while you were typing that, over in your chart, you should see a new vertical axis title. If your title is down here or up here or over here, then you did something wrong. You might need to rewind a little bit. But now that we've typed this in, everybody's chart should look like this with a vertical axis title. All right. And then G is going to have us insert the chart, but there's a couple things I want to change on this before, because there's still a couple things that don't look similar to our instructions. And that is our legend is at the top of our chart. So how we will change that is minimize the chart and axis titles, go to legend. I'm going to make my screen bigger, that way it's easier for you to see. And then our legend, we want to position it to the right, just like it is in our instructions. Okay, so your legend should no longer be right below your chart title. It should be over here on the right side. Okay, we can minimize that. Okay, now it's looking pretty good. There's still a couple things that we need to change, and that includes the text in our chart. It just doesn't stick out to me. So I'm going to select our chart and axis title. And you can select whatever font you want. I just want it to stick out more than it's sticking out right now. So do Arial or... and I'm going to center position it too. I feel like it's easier to read when it's in the center rather than left aligned. And I'd like you to do the same. But as far as what type of font, you can choose that. And then I'm going to change it to black because right now it's a gray. And it's just not working for me. So once you've done that, minimize your chart and axis titles. I'm going to make my screen smaller real quick. One more thing that I'd like to change is our vertical axis. Again, that's just, it's kind of difficult to see. It's pretty small. So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. Let's see, 14, I think I'm actually going to do 16. 16 looks good. I'm going to bold it too. That way it's easier to see. If you want, you can change the font. I would change it to a similar font as your chart title, but up to you. But I think that now that we've changed those two things, it's a lot easier to read. Alrighty. So now that we've inserted our chart, number 9 is going to have us reposition our chart so that all data is displayed. So how we're going to do that, I'm going to get out of our chart editor because we are done editing this. I'm just going to select some white space in my chart, and then I'm going to hold down my cursor until that hand appears, and I'm just going to move it down. That way our chart isn't blocking any of our data up here. Okay. And then it says your spreadsheet should look similar to 3.6 figure A. So let's scroll down. And I gotta turn my head so I can see this. I would say it looks very similar. Okay, maybe our vertical axis is a little bit different, but I don't really care. I think it's easier to read than that one. Okay, perfect. So moving on here, we just finished number 9. All right, on number 10, it's going to have us, our instructions say to insert an image, and to insert an image into your spreadsheet, do the following: in cell H3 from the insert menu, select image. All right, so I'm going to go back into our spreadsheet. And by the way, if the contents in A1 has a blue dotted border around it in your spreadsheet, That just means that we copied the contents into somewhere else, and in this case we copied and pasted the contents into our chart title down here. But if that's bothering you at all, you can select A1, go to edit, and then clear notes. Okay, now your blue box should be gone, just in case that was bothering any of you. But the cell that we need to have selected right now is H3. Okay, we have cell H3 selected. Then we're going to go to Insert. And again, our instructions are for an older version of Google Sheets. So what we'll need to do is when we go to Insert and then Image, it's going to give us two options, Image in Cell or Image over Cells. If we selected Image in Cell, it would literally put an image inside our little tiny cell. So we want this image to actually go over cells. So when you go to Insert, go to Image, and then click on Image over Cells. All right, and then we're going to go to Google Image Search. So you see how we have all these options. The very last one is going to be the option that we need. Okay, and then we are going to, the instructions say to search for school mascot. So in the search bar right here, type in school mascot and then enter. And you're going to double click on an image of your choice. So whatever mascot looks appealing to you, you can select. I'm going to double click on this panther. Okay, so when you did that, when you double clicked on that image, your image should have been inserted around cell H3. Okay, so let's see number 11. Number 11 is going to have us resize the image. And it says to change the size of an image proportionately larger or smaller, do the following. Click the image, then place your cursor over the bottom right-hand corner until it becomes a double-sided arrow, very similar to all the Microsoft programs that you've used. So there's my double-sided arrow in the right corner there. I'm just going to drag this out until I think it looks good. I think that's appropriate. Okay. So I'm going to look at number 12 is just going to have us proofread again and then print preview, which you don't have to do. I'm going to look at figure 3.6, figure A, just to kind of see, to make sure that my spreadsheet looks similar to theirs. Okay. So your spreadsheet too should look similar to mine. And again, you'll want to proofread, make sure all of your data is correct, make sure your line graph here or your line chart looks good. But other than that, I think that's all they're going to have us do for this lesson. So it's fairly simple, very easy. Just make sure that you paid attention on how to do the line chart. That's usually where you get tripped up, is just on the charts because there's this is a newer version of Google Sheets, so, and the instructions are for an older one. So I just want to make sure that you have a spreadsheet that looks very similar to mine. Again, this assignment will be due on Thursday. I won't have you guys do anything on Friday or next Monday. I will post your next assignment on Tuesday. Let's see what day that is. Tuesday, April 14th, because technically Friday the 10th and Friday the 13th, you guys are on break for Easter. So, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. And I hope that you have a great week.